Have you ever taken your drone out and gotten a bunch of really cool shots, but then once you came home, put it all into a sequence, and watched it all together, it turned out to be really boring and kind of looked all the same? Well, let me help you out. If you're new here, then welcome. My name is Adrienne. I make video editing tutorials. I've got some free stuff linked down below if you're interested. And now let's get into it. So you can see here that I have Premiere Pro open. I have a bunch of footage in my project folder, and I'm ready to get started. Let's start with this shot of mountains. The drone flies over the cliff and out into this incredible view. All right, that's a pretty nice shot, but how can we make it better? How can we make it more dynamic and more interesting? Well, let's try adding something called the Ken Burns effect. The Ken Burns effect is usually applied to something that's stationary, but you can apply it to any shot that you have. It's an effect where you slowly zoom in on the focal point of your shot. So this regular drone shot is a really good shot, but zooming in like that in the center of the clip really helps to draw the viewer in and focus them on the best part of the clip, which is the incredible view. The next change we can make to this shot is to speed up the zooming in effect. So we started with this really nice drone shot, and then we zoomed in on the center of the clip in order to get us to the beautiful view more quickly. After that, we sped up that center zoom in order to make it a little bit more dynamic. Then I added something called speed ramps. If you're interested in speed ramps, I do have another video that goes into them in more depth and how to create them. Now, I think it might be looking a little bit unnatural. Let's try adding some motion blur. In Premiere, you can do that with the directional blur in the Effects tab. My next suggestion is sound effects. They are a great way to take your footage to the next level. In this shot, we have this nice drone shot. We've sped up the center. We've zoomed in on the most important part of the frame. We've added speed ramps. We've added motion blur. But what about a simple whoosh sound? Let's add another shot or two to this and keep building our sequence. So that means we need to talk about transitions. Transitions take your audience from one shot to the next. Even a hard cut is considered a transition. Something as simple as a cross dissolve can indicate to the viewer the passage of time. We've already set up a shot where we are in the mountains. So let's add this hiking shot. Hiker slowly climbing up this hill. And then we can add a close-up shot of the hiker's face. We go from here, a straight cut, to his face. If we add something like a cross dissolve here, we can get the sense that he's really been hiking for a long time and he's quite tired when he's reached the top of the mountain. A really quick word of warning: do not go ham on transitions. They really need to serve a purpose in your storytelling if you're going to use them. Next, let's talk about J-cuts. J-cuts are a way of connecting two clips that sit next to each other on the timeline using their audio. If we watch these clips next to each other, it is a little bit jarring. You go from hearing birds in the woods to all of a sudden hearing traffic in a city. But if we add a J-cut, watch what happens. You get a little bit of a sense of what is going to be coming next before you see the city. It's a little bit less jarring of a transition. Next, let's talk about jump cuts. Jump cuts are a really fun way of passing through time to get to the more interesting action. All you have to do is cut out all the boring stuff in order to get to the interesting or fun stuff that's happening in your shot. So let's take a look at this construction worker who is launching a drone. The shot's fine, but kind of slow, kind of boring. So let's do a few jump cuts to get us here to the end. It's a perfectly fine shot, but with a series of jump cuts, we were able to get to the end of the clip in a much more interesting way. And it took a lot less time. The last thing that we should talk about is color and music. Music has a huge effect on your video. It creates an atmosphere and can single-handedly change the mood of your video. Because of that, it will help you tell a better story. So let's try this. We've got the same sequence. I added some folk music and I changed the color, made it a little bit warm. This video has a feel-good vibe. It could be your next indie project. But if I take that same sequence and change the music to something more epic and change the color and make it a little bit cooler, let's see what happens. All of a sudden, this is an epic adventure. As you can see, each shot in this sequence on its own is just a slow, kind of boring drone shot. But you put it all together on a timeline. You use a few of these tips that I've described to you, and you can wind up with something far more dynamic, a far more exciting story to tell. And that's it from me. If you have any other tips of things that you've done with your drone footage, please share it in the comments below. If you found this helpful, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I'll see you in the next one.